Good morning from Argentina. It's race day here at Termas de Rio Hondo. We saw the action in the sprint. Will things be different when we go racing in a couple of hours? We're about 15 hours drive from the capital of Buenos Aires. You just saw in your pictures there. Very, very different landscape. But the place is going to be packed out for the Argentine Grand Prix. Coming up, round 2 of the championship. Good morning from still a gloomy looking Termas de Rio Hondo. We haven't really seen the sun this week, although there is talk that it might make an appearance at some point today. And that could provide a little bit more interest in terms of temperatures. Already 21 degrees, 26 on track is warmer than we've had at most points during the weekend. And if that goes up, which it can do, then there'll be a choice to make in terms of the tyres for the riders. We've got 10 minutes, of course, of MotoGP warm-up, few practice starts. And then our race day begins. Susie will be with us from 2 p.m. UK time. Moto 3 just before 3. Moto 2 just after 4 p.m. and all the build-up to the big one. 25-lap Grand Prix of Argentina from 5:30 this afternoon. And then all the post-race action, of course. Analysis and interviews in checkered flag. Just past 10:30 local time here in Buenos Aires. The local fauna is ready. How about you, Neil Hodgson? After what we've seen already in our 3 races to date, 2 sprints and the main race in Thailand, what do you think is going to happen here today in Argentina?
I'll give you one guess. No, it's I'm hoping with the temperature going up, this track's really, really abrasive on tyres. It's not a foregone conclusion at all. I tell you what they have to try to do, though. They've got to try and get in front of this man off the start. Because out of the 3 races we've seen so far, he's had 3 lightning starts and been able to control the race. I know, obviously, a couple of weeks ago in Thailand, he had that front tyre pressure issue where he dropped back behind his brother for the majority of the race. But apart from that, he has been able to control it, hasn't he?
Yeah, and that is one of the things we will be talking about today. We don't like it. We don't like the fact that tyre pressures could be an issue, but you'd expect most of the riders behind Mark will be setting their pressures low, expecting to be behind, and then what does he do out front? Because then if he is passed down into turn 1, suddenly it's a different game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It definitely plays a huge part, especially if the temperature is going to be much hotter today. The ambient temperature is going to be around about 28 degrees, where it was 20 yesterday. So yeah, it's going to feel completely different. It's normally hot when we come here, so it's been a really strange, cool weekend, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, but with the potential of heating up on race day, as you said. Track temperatures yesterday were sort of low 30s. Well, it could soar up past 14 to 50, and then we've got a completely different story. Johann Zarco fancies his chances because he's good on the medium tyre, which Michelin say is probably the option if temperatures rise.
Yeah, he's been so impressive this weekend as Zarco. From the very first lap of the very first practice session, he's been in and around the top 3, finished 4th in the race, and looked really, really good.
Pecco Bagnaia sounded very satisfied, bearing in mind he said, it's a little bit of a bogey track for me, so to actually come back and actually feel like I was a bit closer than I was in Thailand, that's good news for me. I mean, it is polishing what hasn't been a great start to the season, but if you take 3 podiums and then a 4th again today, that is damage limitation as much as you can do.
Yeah, a track is not gone well on at all, like you mentioned earlier. I mean, up until yesterday, his best ever result round here was a 5th place, which is hard to believe for the 3-time world champion. So definitely a track that he doesn't like, and if he can be smart, pick up points when he can, and just hope that this man, he can beat him on some of the tracks that he likes and maybe force him into a mistake. I mean, obviously, what we've seen so far, it doesn't look like that, but I think that's gonna be Pecco's mindset, and I think that's the only thing he can do.
The riders file out onto the track. 10 minutes of MotoGP warm-up here at Termas de Rio Hondo. Marc Marquez looking to make it a clean sweep again this weekend. Where will the pressure from? You feel like his brother, if he makes a move, it's got to be early. And he said, actually, there were a couple of points that he was quicker on.
Yeah, absolutely. He's really good round turn 6 is Alex Marquez, which is that fast left-hand corner. That said, it's one of those corners where you can burn your tyre out, and I believe he was using a bit more rear tyre than his brother, so it's going to be an interesting one. One thing I'd like to add, I've heard quite a few people commenting about the depth of field. It's like, well, maybe it's not like it was in the days when what we'd class as having aliens. It's funny.
Who said this?
This might shock you, but it was on a thing called X.
Right, okay. Must be true then.
So I sat in the commentary box this morning just looking down at the list of names, and out of the 22 riders we've got on this grid, over half of them, that's 12, have won a world title at some point. And actually 6 of them have won multiple world titles. And then going down the rest of them, everybody's won at least a Grand Prix at some point, the ones that haven't been able to win a world title. The only, let's say, the standout rider who's not really done that much in his career is the replacement rider, Lorenzo Savadori, who's a replacement rider. He's Aprilia's test rider.
Who had a dislocation of his shoulder yesterday in a little bit of an incident out on track, so I'm not sure if Sava will be racing today.
I think it's fair to say we've got a stacked field of talent.
Savadori has gone out on track, but Miguel Oliveira won't be. That was a nasty crash. We've watched it back since. Didn't really get a good view of it. Just a mistake, wasn't it, from Fabian Aldeguer? Hit Miguel as he tried to go past. Miguel, of course, Miguel fell awkwardly.
Of course he did. That's what he's done all his career. He's been the most, and he really has, the most unluckiest rider that I've ever known. I mean, he's been involved in some nasty crashes.
And most of them not of his own doing.
80% of them not of his doing at all. And the one yesterday was nothing of a crash. It was nothing of a crash. Basically, Aldeguer went up the inside, there wasn't room, he lost the front. His bike then slid right into Miguel Oliveira's, which it strangely pitched at a weird angle then, poor Miguel, and he fell really awkwardly on his shoulder. So
he went to hospital.
Yeah, they said there were no fractures, but he's definitely not right.
I thought he might have broken the collarbone or where it meets your sternum. But there isn't at the moment. These things sometimes can be shaded by hematomas and that kind of thing. But he's worried about the ligaments in his left shoulder.
It's never good.
I don't like the sound of that.
Especially with what track we've got coming next in Austin. That is the most physical track of the year. You've got all those change of directions.
Yeah, and left-handers.
So yeah, poor Miguel.
He's gone back to Portugal to recover. So we wish Miguel Oliveira well. On board we ride with Marc Marquez. Didn't look out of shape at any point, did he, yesterday?
So it
feels like he's riding within a window.
Yeah. Yeah, do you know, it's funny, his comments actually after the race, he's still not that he's not happy, he doesn't feel like he's really clicking with this track. I know that sounds bizarre, but the man who won the race and was on pole position, but...
Such are the demands.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is, if you saw in Thailand, it genuinely looked like he could win with one arm tied behind his back. Yesterday, he was pressured by his brother.
Never looked like he could get past, did he? We saw Brad Binder there. I did like his reaction to being taken out on the first lap by Frankie Morbidelli. He just said, well, it's racing, isn't it? Happens. These things happen. I've done the same. It's done the same to me. Let's get on with it. That's Brad, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Through and through.
Yeah, imagine if that had been Alicia Spargo. I know, obviously, he's not racing now, but a year ago, you know what, Alicia always loved to make a big song and dance about something. He'd still be on about it now, we're still waving his arms.
Davide Gian Antonio, best sprint result for him yesterday, since 23 actually. So, no, my apologies, Aston last year, my apologies. But there is a chance for him perhaps to get onto the podium later on in the race. But it's the Marquez brothers who are dominating. Marco Bezzecchi is going to be the interesting one. Basically, problems getting the most out of the soft tyre to put in a lap time, and as such, qualifying down on the third row of the grid is making life hard. The Aprilia isn't as good at getting off the line as, for example, the Ducatis or the KTMs, and instantly it means Bez is up against it.
Yeah, they've said they have improved the system for starting, but they're still a fraction behind. Aldeguer was interesting yesterday. After the crash, he picked the bike up. He had his handlebars were bent, and his lap times then afterwards. I went to speak to Frankie Carcetti. He went, "Did you see his lap times afterwards? Really competitive, like top 5 sort of pace." So if Aldeguer can get a good start, unfortunately for him, that's the bit he's struggling with. He qualified in the middle of the 5th row, and his comments after the race were, it's so difficult on those opening laps because everyone's so aware of the front tyre temperature that everyone's been super aggressive to try to make up time. If you hesitate for a split second, you've been dive bombed, and before you know it, then you've been pushed wide and somebody else has come through.
It's a Shark Tank, MotoGP. It's kill or be killed, isn't it? And that's what he's got to learn. We think he's got it. I think he's got tons of talent. Currently running 3rd. We go on board with Pecco Bagnaia here, round turn 11. Said round here is one of the places, surprise, surprise, through the left-hander, that he's losing out big to Marc Marquez.
I'll tell you what, though, he will have been studying the data last night, and they've been looking at what he can learn from what Mark's been doing, but also with regards to the bike setup.
That's been his strength, though, hasn't it, over the years?
Of course it has.
Turn up on Sunday.
Yep, turn up on Sunday and find a couple of tenths. He has been able to do that on numerous occasions.
A lot of people are running the medium rear tyre and give it a go and give it a feeling this morning. Chantra and Savadori, the only 2 not to. Brad Binder has now gone back out to the circuit. Now, what the KTMs and Yamahas were saying, and it's Digi, turn 1. That'll be a heavy one.
It'll be a fast one, won't it?
Yeah. It looks early, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's really flat into turn 1. You sort of trail brake in, and it all looked good until it didn't. They've had a new front on, I'm assuming.
It suggests so.
Strange crash. That said, it just set the 2nd fastest time.
It's just going to knock the confidence ever so slightly for Fabio Di Giannantonio, who has an outside hope of getting to the podium today after 5th yesterday. With people like him and Johan Zarco just looking at tyre wear and seeing if the temperature can rise slightly. Have I got something to play with? Marc Marquez has a 3/10 lead at the top of warm-up with under 2 minutes to go. See the clouds overhead.
Do you know, it's almost not worth it, a 10-minute warm-up. I don't know why they don't make it at least 15 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Just to really, when you've made a setting change, it is really short.
Well, ask the Moto2 and Moto3 runners who don't.
I know you don't get any, but yeah, which I'm definitely not a fan of.
Yeah, me neither. You've had a crash during Scott Ogden, for example, yesterday in qualifying, and pretty much having to go out early on a sighting lap and hope that everything's okay.
Oh, look at the Marquez brothers, they're close.
1,000th of a second between Alex and Mark.
Mark took a lap off. I think he's going to push on this last lap. I know he.
Let's have a look at Bez. Is there anything he can do here in terms of passing down into turn 5? No. Stuck with the Ducati all the way, though, the Aprilia. This is the part of the track, though, traction. This is what Marco Bezzecchi's saying.
Great shots.
Great in this corners. You would fancy Bezzecchi if he could get a good start. Yeah, interesting to hear, wasn't it, from the likes of Acosta, who dropped back, just said grip was fine for a couple of laps and then dropped off. Heard that a bit now from the KTM. Same for Fabio Quartararo. Teams that are struggling with traction. Spend so much time on the edge of the tyre here, don't you?
Yeah, you
fast corners.
Bez looks good.
Yeah.
Really good.
She'll move him up the order into 4th. He is a shot for the podium. That feels sure. The big question is, can anyone launch off the line? Bagnaia, Alex, and get in front of Marc Marquez. That's the big challenge. What do you do then? Obviously, the talk was they made a mistake in Thailand in terms of front tyre pressure, weren't quite sure. Basically, they hadn't raced with Marc before, and in terms of the settings of the front tyre pressure, just slightly got it wrong. Thought it would come up more, especially with the heat, and it didn't. So he went and sat behind his brother. Can't imagine them making the same mistake again.
No, I can't.
But you know, always in the back of your mind, you're thinking, what if I am passed into turn one?
Yeah. I think if Marc's passed it early into turn one, I'm 90% confident he'll be setting that front tyre pressure to lead.
Absolutely. So
I think I would guess he'd be very aggressive to try and get the lead straight back. I'm glad to see Digi's all right.
yeah, it looks okay, doesn't he?
I'll tell you, Bez on that Aprilia just looks amazing.
It's really nice.
He looked so awkward last year.
They're very planted through these kinds of corners. Wait for the bump. Yeah, you can just see it ride the ripples there. It looks nice. Stability was his watchword.
Yeah.
I think everyone, you know, finding that balance of it.
It wins the award for the best looking bike of the year again for me. That's 3 years running. The Aprilia's done it. I walk up and down pit lane, I stand next to that Aprilia and just my jaw hits the ground. It is
In their colours or in the Gulf colours?
in their colours. I like the black Aprilia, traditional. Yeah, it looks unreal.
Come back in. They will practice a flag to flag bike change. Of course, if it does rain during the race isn't stopped for climatic reasons anyway. And there is a possibility, there is talk of rain this evening, not during the day, but you've got to cover off every eventuality. There's one rider who always seems to be good at flag to flags, and it's this man.
He's good at adapting to changeable conditions. That's what you've got to be, flag to flag.
So let's see how this one is. Looks decent enough. We've had a couple here over the years, flag to flag races. There was a wild one in 2016, which was a mandatory pit stop. So the tyre issues. I love the look of that. Not sure if we get it in the USA, I hope so. Marc Marquez receives the applause from the crowds. Really big crowds. Took us 2 hours to get to our hotel last night, which is about, what, 5 kilometres from the track?
Yeah, we're going to say 5 miles, but yeah, it's probably 5 kilometres. Yeah, it was a lovely, lovely 2-hour journey in the
old bus.
Really enjoyed that, Gav, didn't you?
Absolutely. We'll run it back later. If you're a fan of a wild dog or two chasing you.
Yeah.
It's very different here. We wonder whether we will be coming back. Brazil is being announced, well, it's already been announced, that a visit there next week to try and promote it.
It sounds like we're not coming back here again. That's the most people I've spoken to in the paddock. That seems to be the vibe.
If that's not ready, for example, we've got a ready-made track here. I think there's a lot of frustration. A few of the pit garages not to scratch, you know. Feels like there's a little bit of price gouging as well for the teams. Penny for his thoughts. Tell you what, with Pecco's calm, patient nature and the man alongside him, Christian Gabarini, there's so much experience, so much knowledge, so much intelligence from a racing point of view that there will be no panic at this stage.
No, it's a marathon, not a sprint. That's what they'll be talking about. We know the next track is a track that Marc goes really well on, obviously.
Yeah, I wonder how that will be on the Ducati. More of the same, most likely.
Yeah, he was strong there last year. Obviously, he crashed out of the main race, didn't he?
Yeah.
But then
And then we go to Qatar, which is a track that Mark's only... Has he only won there once? I know he won there in 14.
That's it. I think. Could be the first Ducati rider to win, Ducati factory rider to win the opening 2 races of the season.
Yeah. So,
you know, your Caparossis, your Stoners, Bagnaia, Dovizioso, never managed it. It'll be interesting to see what we get when we go to Austin. That's in 2 weeks, before we head to Qatar 2 weeks later. And then we're into the European leg. And Jerez, if you remember the battle between them last year,
well, that was so
Jerez sounds like it's going to be a cracker.
Yeah, you feel like Pecco Bagnaia is going to turn up there like a prize fighter. It's like, right.
In Mark's Spanish Grand Prix.
Yeah, literally, like
the home Grand Prix.
If I am going to have a go at winning this championship, it's worth... I've got to risk crashing. I've just got to throw everything at it.
Hugely popular here, Marc Marquez. 1,000 separating himself and his brother at the end of warm-up. They start as the favourites for another 1-2. Can anyone get in amongst them, though? As we said last week, nothing is ever certain in MotoGP. We had our surprise then. Will we get some today? Keep an eye on Bezzecchi, obviously Bagnaia and Johan Zarco as the day goes on. We'll be watching the skies, but for now, we'll take a little break. But when we come back, we're building up to race day here in Argentina at the Termas de Rio Hondo circuit.